In the dim, blue-gray quiet of early morning, when the world still felt half asleep and the sky hadn't decided whether to stay dark or turn golden, Michael Reeves felt the sting of cold air against his face as he rushed across the small neighborhood park. He wasn't jogging for fitness or pleasure, he was chasing something far heavier. Rent. School fees. A sick child who needed more than he could give. The weight of everything sat on his chest every time he inhaled. And just when he thought the day couldn't hit him any harder, he looked up and froze, because there, running steadily along the curved path, was his boss, Alexandra Holt, the woman whose signature could alter the direction of his life in a single stroke. Before we go deeper into this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything. Michael stood still as Alexandra slowed her jog, her breath soft and measured, her presence powerful in a quiet, unspoken way. She saw the exhaustion etched into his face, the kind that no amount of sleep could fix, and something unreadable flickered in her eyes. But before he could speak, before he could make sense of why fate had decided to throw her across his path at dawn, she stepped closer, leaned just enough that her breath brushed against the cold morning air, and whispered a line that would haunt him the rest of the day. "I'm 42, you're 30, we fit too well." She said it softly, almost as if she were confessing it to the wind rather than to him, and in that instant, Michael felt the ground tilt beneath his feet. Back in his small apartment, where the peeling paint on the walls carried years of stories and the hum of the old refrigerator was the soundtrack of his life, Michael's world revolved around one person, his 7-year-old daughter, Emily Reeves. Her laughter held the glow that kept him alive, but her asthma had worsened lately, and her medical bills were starting to drown him. His job at Holt Dynamics wasn't glamorous, warehouse inventory, long shifts, unpredictable hours, but it was steady enough to keep the lights on. Alexandra Holt, the company's CEO, was known for her precision and steel-like composure. To Michael, she had always seemed like someone carved from stone. So why had she said those words? Why had she looked at him in a way no one had since the mother of his child passed away 3 years ago? The day dragged on with a strange heaviness. Michael kept replaying that moment, wondering whether it was concern, interest, or merely an awkward morning remark from a woman who didn't sleep enough and carried the weight of an empire on her shoulders. He tried focusing on work, sorting boxes, checking logs, helping new staff, but his mind drifted back to her voice. At lunch, he checked his phone twice, thinking maybe she would call him to clarify what she meant. She never did. Later that week, things got worse. Emily had a severe asthma attack at school, and Michael rushed her to the hospital, praying under his breath in the cab. He held her tiny hand as machines beeped around them, and when the doctor said she needed a more specialized treatment plan, Michael knew the cost would be beyond what he had. He sat outside the hospital, head buried in his hands, shoulders shaking, not loudly, but with the silent kind of breakdown that only single parents truly understood. The next morning, he returned to work late, clothes wrinkled, eyes swollen, prepared to be reprimanded or even fired. But instead of anger, he found Alexandra standing by the warehouse entrance, staring at him with an expression far softer than the rumors about her ever suggested. She asked no questions. She offered no judgment. She simply walked beside him into her office, a place he had never imagined being invited into, and closed the door behind them. In long, quiet moments filled with tension and unspoken emotions, Alexandra listened to everything he had been hiding. She didn't interrupt. She didn't look away. When Michael finally finished, she reached across the desk and rested her hand briefly on his arm, as though grounding him back into the world. She told him he didn't have to carry everything alone. That sometimes strength wasn't about surviving the storm alone, but allowing someone to hold the umbrella with you. Her voice wavered only once, and in that moment, Michael realized there was a loneliness behind her success, a quiet ache she never revealed to anyone. Life didn't change overnight, but it shifted. Alexandra arranged flexible hours for him, discreetly increased his pay by calling it a performance adjustment review, and personally contacted a medical foundation that could subsidize Emily's treatment. She didn't present it as charity, she offered it as a collaboration, a partnership, a human connection. Slowly, unexpectedly, their worlds began to intertwine. She joined Michael and Emily for walks in the park. She helped Emily pick new storybooks. She laughed more than she allowed herself at work. Michael found himself looking at her differently, not as a boss, not as someone unreachable, but as a woman who had lived through her own storms and still stood tall. The age difference didn't matter. What mattered was how she brought calm to his chaos, and how he brought warmth to her silence. But the real turning point came one cold evening when Emily, breath steady after weeks of improved health, looked at Alexandra with innocent eyes and asked why she spent so much time with them. Alexandra paused, a slow breath leaving her lips, and Michael felt the air thicken as she whispered that sometimes life gives you people who fit into the empty spaces you didn't know you had. She looked at Michael then, with a depth that left him speechless, and he realized she meant every word of what she had said that morning in the park. Their bond grew, not through dramatic declarations, but through moments that felt real, late-night phone calls, shared coffee in the warehouse corridor, the understanding that love could grow silently between two people who never expected to find it again. Alexandra helped heal the fractures in Michael's life, and Michael helped her rediscover the parts of herself she had buried under years of work and expectations, and yet, with every step forward, Michael battled fear. Fear that he wasn't enough. Fear that she would change her mind. Fear that the world would judge them harshly. But Alexandra, steady and unwavering, kept showing up, proving with actions, not words, that she wasn't going anywhere. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps stories like this alive and helps us reach more people who may need a moment of hope. And now, before the ending, I want you to comment something from your heart, say a prayer, share a thought, or leave a message of kindness for someone who might read it and feel less alone. In the end, Michael realized that fate doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes it jogs quietly into your life at dawn, wearing running shoes and carrying a future you never dared to imagine. Alexandra didn't fix all his problems, but she helped him believe that he didn't have to face them alone. She fit into his life not because of age or circumstance, but because of the way she held his broken pieces without asking him to be anyone other than himself. And as he stood beside her months later, watching Emily laugh freely under a sky no longer weighed down by worry, he finally understood what it meant to find someone who feels like home, unexpectedly, beautifully, and exactly when you need them most.